Valorant Ranked can get pretty tough on us sometimes. It doesn't always go the way we wish, and many of us have come across the fact that they're hard stuck in their rank, which we believe is very real. However, there are many ways to improve and get out of the elo hell that you're facing. You might have always heard about those how to rank up guides, and maybe you watched some, but if it's still no use, then you're in the right place. We'll tell you about the most important tips for each rank, helping you to rank up and progress faster in the ranked ladder. Welcome back to Esports Driven, and in this video, we'll be working on turning you into a ranked demon, so that you get to your desired rank. So without further ado, let's jump straight into it. Starting off with the lowest two ranks in the game, Iron and Bronze. We'll talk about these two ranks alongside each other due to the fact that they're pretty similar and we believe they share the same mistakes. As an Iron or Bronze player, you're probably new to the game, maybe new to first-person shooters in general. The main factor that takes part in this type of game is aiming and mechanics. We suggest that you try to do any form of aim training, whether it be the range, deathmatch, or an aim trainer. Just hop into the range and start shooting around. Try to practice shooting only when you come to a full stop, as you cannot run and gun in Valorant, for the most part. Playing a lot of deathmatches can be very useful to you too, not only if you're an Iron or Bronze, but rather in any rank. Professional players tend to play a lot of deathmatch to warm up and overall get more consistent. Once again, Silver and Gold are two similar ranks when it comes to skill level, and we've got the trick for you that will let you pass those ranks like a knife cutting into butter. As you progress further into Silver and Gold, you realize that players started to grasp the idea of how mechanics work. Some start to aim better, or at least try to. While maintaining any sort of aim training can still save you through this rank, there is a much more important factor. Utility is such a significant factor when it comes to a game like Valorant. That means using your utilities or abilities the right way can save you so many games. In order for you to understand how abilities should be used, first make sure you're playing on the right agent. A general tip: don't waste your abilities. You should only use abilities when you know you can get a play out of it. So for example, don't fade Prowler through a smoke if you're not going to push through it. An example of capitalizing on your utility is flashing through a smoke as an initiator and pushing it to punish the enemy. You can always watch professional or high-ranked players to see how they tend to use their abilities and learn from them. Our tip for you is to always think before casting an ability. Just take a quick second to ask yourself, what will I get from this? And if you have an answer to it, then don't hesitate. Players in the Plat and Diamond elo are generally very inconsistent. You may face a ranked demon in Diamond or a completely lost player. It goes both ways. But you have to remember there is only one constant factor in your games. It's you. So that's what you need to focus and be working on, not your teammates. So here's an important tip for you. In ranks like Plat and Diamond, the difference maker can very much be information. Communication is very critical, especially when players become generally more aware of their mechanics and game sense. You should always pay attention to the information you're given and the information you're not given. For example, if you know an enemy smokes mid every round on Ascent, then you come to see that for that round that you're playing, there's no smoke mid. This can be a piece of information that is very likely an operator playing there to earn a pick. Small details like those can be the difference maker for you. Sometimes you might queue into a very quiet team that doesn't often talk or communicate, and it can be pretty frustrating. But you need to spark the conversation. Start joking around with your teammates and get them to talk to you. Give them detailed information about who is where and what's going on in the round. The more you start to give proper callouts, the higher the chances are that they do the same for you, so don't be toxic. Now we're heading to the higher elo area. While Ascendant is considerably high elo, there are still a lot of mistakes happening in that rank, some of which are fatal. So let's get to know what exactly you can do to step over the Ascendant rank. Players will start getting better and better at both mechanical and practical aspects. What we mean by that is, in Ascendant, you're often running into players who have decent game sense and at least decent crosshair placement. But what players lack there is often the ability to make plays off teammates. Making plays off teammates can change how you view the game. It's typically impossible to 1v5. You shouldn't play the game in the intention to solo play. Instead, you should group up and make coordinated plays with your team or your duo. For example, you can always have a bait setup, where you bait for your teammate in a corner and have them take advantage of the enemies baited. Always try to peek with your teammates, do not play alone. This will help you get a better understanding of how to trade your teammates and make plays off of them. In general, we want you to look at the minimap and say, am I in a position where I can get traded? If not, then fall back and don't initiate any plays. This also applies to most scenarios. Immortal is easily the top percentage of players, but that doesn't mean there aren't flaws. In fact, the mistakes Immortal players do are way more fatal than any of what we've mentioned. We'll give you 2 tips to improve and skip through your Immortal games easier. It could sound very simple to you that you need to be positive and mentally stable to perform and win your games. However, you'd be surprised to know that the majority of Immortal players fail crucially in this part. There are countless trolls and players who give up at round 1. You need to stay determined towards your goal of winning. Don't let your mental down after a frustrating round. Comebacks are always possible with the right mindset, so don't give up. Mental can cause blockage, which will stop you from hitting your shots or even thinking straight. Train your mind and attitude just as much as you train yourself in the game. And this applies to any rank in the game, not just Immortal, but it's often that you see demotivated players in this rank. It may sound very common to hear that you need to clear corners, but players often can get overwhelmed and possibly forget the importance of clearing unexpected angles. And we're not talking about clearing the common angles that you need to clear in order to push a site. We're talking about corners that you do not expect enemies to be tucked in. You should always clear angles, basically clear everything unless you've given explicit information on where the enemies are. Take this clip as an example. In this situation, I was rotating from A to B through mid on Breeze. I catch an enemy on Nest and trade my teammate that had just died to him, which leaves me at a 1v1 for the round win. I didn't know personally where Chamber was, but I was given by my team through pings and comms explicit information on his position being back of sight. I proceed to walk around the wall and clear every corner, even though odds of him repositioning are small. This gives me the advantage over him as I actually ended up clearing him and scoring the kill. He did not expect me to clear him, which is why I had the advantage in this fight. Just imagine if you had just cleared the corners that you didn't in your previous games, how many of them would have actually made a difference. It can be pretty big, so here's your reminder: clear everything. Since it's very important to keep improving and understanding the game in order to achieve higher levels, we've dedicated many of our videos to that topic. If you're interested in learning about more tips and tricks that will help you rank up easier, check out the video by clicking on the screen. If you enjoy our content, feel free to subscribe. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.